We think we are the largest flight retailer in the world, and basically ODIGEO is a holding name for one meta search, Liligo, and for 4 OTAs, online travel agencies, that are Drinks, Go Voyage, Opodo, and Travel. And in Europe, our home market, 1 of every 10 flights that was sold in 2012 by travel agents, so outside of the airlines websites, was sold by ODIGEO. So we think we are the absolute leader in a couple of markets, like Spain, Italy, France, Germany, UK, and second in others, and we are expanding from Europe to the rest of the world. So we have made of selling flights our way of living, and we think that we know a lot about selling flights. But shouldn't IATA know that? And shouldn't IATA have involved us as a travel agent and the rest of the travel agents before? Now they have to do it, but not before, because and IATA is recognizing that so far has done a poor job in communicating the aim of NDC on involving its stakeholders. And we have heard many things that from IATA and from the airlines that are not good in the sense for us travel agents. For example, IATA said 1 year ago that the cost of distribution to airlines was 9 billion per year, which is a fact. No one can discuss. It's real. The question is who is to be blamed for that? GDSs, travel agents. IATA also said that airlines is an industry in which all the value created, in which all the benefits are transferred to players outside the industry. That means also, again, the GDSs, the travel agents, the customers. But the problem has been also in communication from the airlines, because the airlines, the opposite, have been very clear about their intentions. Remember American Airlines and their direct connect strategy, and how they say that travel agents should pay for content. Delta only worked with selected OTAs in America and extending now this strategy to Europe. Air Canada, British, Lufthansa, Iberia, with different strategies, but in the end, charging for their best fees to the travel agents or the GDSs. But airlines, and basically IATA has changed, and now this is a question of the past, because now they are involved in travel agents in their working groups. They are really giving us a welcome to build this new standard for XML communications that we know is only a standard, it's not a business model. We know that the standards are positive for the industry and standards will allow innovation. We know as well that NDC will try to cover a gap that right now is evident, that is the rich content that you can find on the airlines websites versus the travel agents' poor capabilities to display information to their customers. And what rich content? We are talking about ancillaries. Ancillaries. Airlines made 29 billion, 27 here. In 2012, 38% of the revenues of the airlines in USA. So there's a big business there, and we travel agents also care. If this is a business for the airlines, has to be also a business for us, and we care of giving the value to the airlines selling these ancillaries. We know also that NDC will address certain inefficiencies that today there are in terms of public fares, on ATP loading, on availability rules, and will allow this fair personalization. And we know that some customers also want to share that with the airlines to get this special fare for them. Okay? But in spite of the good things that NDC will bring, there are fundamental questions that we need to solve. The basic one then for us is the model of connectivity that NDC entails. NDC, the current model you can see on the right, basically the current model is airlines connecting to GDSs and travel agents to GDSs. GDSs are subject to regulations. They ensure neutrality in terms of display. They have an economic model that ensures that all the parts of the value chain gets some share of these economies, and they have also a great capacity, great computational capacity that allows scalability. Well, the new model, more or less, what entails is either a connectivity of any to any, that is all travel agents connected to all airlines, or a new figure that the NDC defines, or is defining, that is called the aggregator, that should replace the GDS. So, but the question is, are those aggregators going to be subject to the same rules than the GDSs? Will be neutral, will subject to regulations, will ensure that they have an economic model for everybody? If not, in that connectivity any to any, we can tell you that we are also connected to airlines today, and I mean, it's a huge investment. No travel agent, not even big travel agents like Expedia or us can afford to be connected to 150 flag carriers. So, the question is, with these new aggregators replacing GDSs, with this new connectivity, who will protect travel agents from airlines discriminatory selecting distributors? Will carriers have a story to tell to the regulators that now there is a new connectivity so they can expose travel agents from the GDSs? What about the full content agreements that exist today and the parity between channels? Who will ensure transparency for customers? And finally, who is going to pay for distribution? Today, we know that airlines are paying for the service that our travel agents are providing, and for those sales. Travel agents are having marketing expenses in trying to get customers. But is that model the one of the future? Or are we going to the American Airlines model in which travel agents will have to pay to airlines to get access to the fares? These are the main questions, but there are others. We are building a standard for IATA members that are 250 airlines, but there is a whole world outside of IATA that is today 25% of the seats worldwide, but in certain geographies like Europe or Asia Pacific is close to 40% and growing. So what is going to be the connectivity for low cost? Also, when we talk about ancillaries, what is the business model for ancillaries presented? Today, nobody pays. Corporate travelers don't pay to TMCs. Airlines don't pay for ancillaries. Nobody. Who's going to pay? I think we need to build a revenue sharing model with the airlines, with those ancillaries. And also, what are the standards for the content? Because we are talking about standards of communication, but not the standards of the content. In the sense that today, Sabre or Amadeus have tools to book ancillaries and the GDSs. But the problem is that when you try to use the tool, and it is a nightmare, because for a piece of luggage has a different definition for every single airline. And even the booking flow is different, so when you try to adapt, it's almost impossible. We need a standard also in the content. What are the airlines are offering? And this whole strategy is, in our opinion, from what we think, is designed for a premium traveler segment that is declining. What is the model? Maybe that trend could change, it could increase, but I wonder, what is the model for the other 90% of travelers that are economy? Okay? Who's going to compare for those customers? You know that on NDC, there is a working group that is defining what is called airline profile. An airline profile, what can set to our understanding is the tag of saying non-disturb. I don't want your queries. I don't want this customer. I don't want this travel agent. Let's see what ends. But now it looks a positive possibility. Because everything, you must not forget that NDC is a 5 years excursion, and so we still have 3 years to go. So a lot has to be still to define. And finally, what I would say is that the value of the travel agents are the ones could deliver total solutions for customers that are composed from different things that are not only air. And how that fits, how the display of the air content that fits in that total solution. I mean, what I wouldn't like is that an airline tells me how I have to display, and if that doesn't display with other airlines or doesn't fit with hoteliers or with other products that I want to sell. I want to have the right to choose how I display that content to the customers. So there are many concerns. In those 3 years that are still left, we will probably come with a very different solution on how we see it today. We will probably address many of the problems and the mistakes done before, but in the end, what we see an NDC is a formidable tool in the hands of the airlines to select who is going to distribute, to set the conditions on how are you going to distribute, and the third thing is who is going to pay to whom. And thank you, it's been very easy because I'm the travel agent, I'm playing at home, and thank you for your attention.